You're listening to Accounting for Growth, the podcast where growth leaders in accounting go beyond referrals alone and think bigger. I'm Chad Person, your host and the founder and president of Accounting CMO. Each episode, we bring in experts at the edge of accounting innovation to share quick, actionable insights that help you lead with confidence, drive smart growth, and move your firm forward. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Accounting for Growth podcast, where we unpack these issues that are shaping how CPA firms are growing today, leading and competing in today's landscape. This episode kicks off a new 6-part series I'm super excited about. We're calling it Managing Partner Realities, Leading the Modern CPA Firm. It's going to be 6 short conversations on topics keeping firm leaders up at night. It's going to range from technology and pricing to profitability and succession. Again, super excited about it. I'm also thoroughly excited about who's joining me for this series. A new colleague of mine, Dawn Howard, who is a fractional CMO. She's worked inside the accounting profession now for many years. Dawn brings incredible background in business development and leadership and campaigning and just overall go-to-market strategy. Thrilled to have her co-host with me. Dawn, welcome to the Accounting for Growth podcast. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Wonderful. Well, hey, Chad, thank you for the opportunity. Super excited to be here today. Quick background on me. You covered a few things, 25 plus years. Crazy. Marketing, sales, business development, pipeline development, brand and product management, predominantly in accounting firms, but also dabbled in technology and a few other spaces as well.
Wow.
So a little bit about me. And when I look at our topic for today and how it might apply to my background and things that I would lend to this conversation, one of the things that I've seen over my tenure is really how the importance of culture and the development of people really impacts growth. And I know we'll dig into that a little bit more, but that's really kind of my eye on the prize is ultimately these things are great and we love the personnel development of pieces, but show me the money.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when Dawn and I connected and started talking about, getting together and talking about these meaningful topics, Dawn has spent, again, the last couple of decades helping managing partners, right, of
Right.
offices all over the country face challenges and overcome them. And so Don was very instrumental. You were very instrumental in these topics that we're going to cover in these series. So let's jump into the first one. And it's kind of it's one of the things that you and I probably hear managing partners talk most about, and that is talent. So firms tell us daily, right, that hiring is harder than ever. Turnover is obviously always a significant obstacle to try to manage, and culture is harder than ever, it seems, to maintain for various reasons. Talk to me about your perspective on that, Dawn.
Well, I think one of my favorite words is evolve.
Yeah.
And hopefully we all evolve. And that includes the way managing partners are looking at this concept of talent, retention, how that kind of bleeds into the culture.
Huh.
And it's not a numbers game necessarily anymore, Chad. And that was something I think firms maybe got a little sideways on that back in the day, when I say 20 years ago or so. And the world has changed. And when we look at different generations that are now participating from both a recruitment and retention level. And so what I would tell you is important and where I really have seen firms kind of pick it up is about integrating people into the heartbeat. I like using that word, the heartbeat of the firm or the organization. And there's a variety of studies and surveys that we can cite on this as well, is that importance of belonging, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Sure. So give me some, sense of belonging. I love that, sense of purpose, et cetera. I think I've always believed that CPAs are very mission driven professionals. Give me some examples of what you mean by that.
Well, I think you can certainly look at the community service days that a lot of these organizations are having. Certainly myself, I've participated in many over time, and you can see where, particularly the younger staff as they're coming on board, they're all wide-eyed, they're getting used to technology and
Mhm.
terminology and who the heck are these partners and what have you. So really, when you see that partner level, that executive team reach out across the board, across all different levels of the talent, you get the sense. First of all, do people know your name?
Yeah.
One,
Yeah.
do they understand where did you go to school? All of those things. So it's not difficult, Chad.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of people putting consistency to it.
Right.
It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. I mean, getting your staff really all to kind of feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves and connected to the community. All those things really do drive. I think the right kind of results, and that kind of makes me think about this challenge. I think that a lot of firms have faced, especially since COVID, right? Around this idea
Yeah,
of we went to remote work. Many firms did partial hybrids, whatever, and then, you can't talk about talent in this space without talking about the labor shortage, right?
yeah,
It exists, and I know that's been talked about at nauseum for quite a while now. But you can't, as the shortage, because the shortage is there, the market's tight, and firms are looking for every advantage they can to, retain the talent they have, uh, recruit talent, as well. What's your sense of this whole thing related to, the remote work and how that impacts culture and fragmentation, et cetera?
sure. And I think the number one thing for me is people can tell when they're valued,
Mm,
whether or not they're sitting mano a mano live across a table with you, or it is in more of a remote slash hybrid environment.
yeah,
So again, I go back to this consistency of efforts, and it's very easy to get into busy season and be like, well, you know what, we'll get back to that in May. We'll do something big from that perspective. But it's a leadership function for sure. Tone starts at the top,
yeah,
and as cliche as that sounds, it's true. But I would also tell you the importance of the call it the in charge, call it the midline manager, whatever it might be. It's one thing to hear and see your leadership saying, a variety of things related to how important you are to us and what have you. But actions always speak louder than words. And
sure,
I will continue saying more cliche things like that, but it's true. And but I also don't think it takes a lot.
yeah.
Um, but it is that consistent factor of, hey, you're important to this team and to what we're bringing to the table.
Yeah, for sure. No question. And it's so easy for all of this focus on employees staying connected and coming across as a managing partner and your partner group as authentic and investing that time. It always, as we know, is in direct competition with taking care of clients, et cetera. So challenging. One final note, I guess I'll throw out on this before we continue to move to other topics. I've found that for some time, marketing's role in helping uh, enhance cultures is continued to increase. I think, and for those managing partners who have marketing staff or lean on marketing services of some kind, don't underestimate the impact that just as solid marketing can create the right kind of brand experience for the potential clients in the market, so too can they use those same strategic skills to help define the right kind of culture inside the firm,
Correct.
to help drive that connectivity, that sense of belonging, that sense of being informed, etc. So
Yeah.
it's not just about recruiting harder; it's about making the environment you have for those there more sticky, right?
Yeah. And one point I'll make there is related to don't sleep on client retention
Mm,
related to how people, your employees, are feeling.
sure.
It doesn't take much to read into. It's okay to have a bad day, but you can't have a bad month when you're out with a client. And being able to see that the team that is serving you
Yeah.
is all in.
Yeah.
and they're drinking the Kool-Aid and they love what they're doing. Now, we don't all love what we do on a daily basis, but you sure want it to be a good percentage of the time, and
Yep.
clients can tell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not just about retention for retention's sake. There is a financial piece of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, no question. There is an impact ultimately to the like I've talked before, like never a bad idea to measure employee engagement, and when that is low, make no mistake, it may lag a little bit, but it'll have a similar impact on client experience, right? When your morale or engagement is low in the firm. So let's talk a bit about culture as we continue to move down this path. I mean, we talked about the importance of retaining talent, finding talent, etc. Culture, like I think, again, a lot of firms, if you ask them, they would define culture in today's environment as perks. What can I do to try to create these perks like hybrid days or summer hours or free lunches, on Fridays, whatever it
Right.
is. But at
Right.
the end of the day, that's not really what those are perks, but that's not really what we're talking about when we're communicating about culture, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think there's an element too where, and I don't know where I read this necessarily, but culture is related to when leadership is not in the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means it's not, oh, Bob or Sally MP is in the room with us. And so we have to look like we're understanding what all of this culture is about. And it's why I brought up the importance of the in charge or even that middle line manager of really being the representation of what culture is
Right.
in an organization. And what I would tell you is getting them involved as soon as possible. So you had alluded to surveys or responses back from employees. Do something with that information,
Yeah.
compile it, have a task force, something where people can see, you know what, we're not going to be perfect at this, but my goodness, we're trying.
Yeah.
We heard what you said in this survey, and no, it's not just about we're bringing in pizza on Friday. There's a much bigger thread that runs through that. And what I feel like the growth mindset firms get their arms around it sooner than later.
Yeah, no, I think that's right, and I would also say, in addition to that, and we've talked around this, but those growth mindset firms, they don't underestimate the importance of you know providing opportunities for recognition of people kind of, who are kind of middle management, right? Some of those
Sure.
folks that are really kind of leading the culture, its growth and its sustainability, recognizing those individuals,
Mhm.
and taking opportunities to not only recognize them, but continue to put them in positions where they can ensure that they're, passing on those qualities that we want in a culture to staff level, et cetera, et cetera. Again, my thing is just, it's very easy for, I think, staff to, it's not easy, but oftentimes I find staff are clear on the message we want to take to market, but there's
Right.
often misalignment on that. There's also a message of like, we want to have what we want in this firm in terms of a culture and a sense of team and belonging. And so
Right.
cascading it down, I guess, is what I'm trying to say is really critical.
And, I call them ambassadors for lack of a better term. Again, you've got your managing partner level, you've got your executive team,
Yep.
and they absolutely need to have some element of being ambassadors. But again, don't forget about depending on your title, directors, managers, supervisors,
Right.
whatever it might be. And I would tell you there could be a competitive nature there too, particularly let's say that senior one, senior two level.
True.
This is a way for those team members to really show their spirit, to
Huh.
show their involvement with culture. Now, I'm not suggesting you do it as from a brown nosing perspective, but more from the element of, boy, I really want to understand. I go back to what I said earlier. I want to understand the heartbeat of this firm.
Right.
And that can start first day they walk in, and it should.
Yeah, it should, and that's a great segue to kind of just talking about development, right, of and training, if you will, of staff. I love that concept. I mean, at the end of the day, I think far too many firms, when they think about talent, they really are thinking about their next hire, their next star, right? That comes in the
Right.
building, and what they should be focused on is what can they do to develop the people that are inside the firm today, and put more attention on that. And so, I think that's a shift in mindset, and speaks, to what you're communicating around, like, hey, these seniors having an opportunity to really step up and make an impact.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said, and I'm going to keep beating this drum a little bit. It's the
Yeah.
consistency of your efforts.
Right.
And as a person who has been involved with business development for decades in accounting firms, same general concept, right? Like, oh, it's the 15th of the month.
Right.
Well,
Right.
yep, there's one every month. So we got to keep going with whatever we have laid out. And Chad, I know you have seen this many times. Unfortunately, it's where firms say, "Okay, this is our beautiful plan that we've developed," and then it sits on a shelf
Yeah.
and is dusty until the next someone else picks it up. Either it's a new line of leadership or whatever that might be. But again, as I
Right.
lean on that word evolve,
Yeah.
um, the world has changed. No big surprise to anyone. But what does that mean? And for these firms that again growth mindset, you are leaving dollars on the table if this is not front and center for you.
You absolutely are, and under that training or development area, um, those firms that are, again, had that growth mindset. No, there's no question that, like, this idea of upskilling, right, still
Sure.
is I think front and center for many firms. And I think the opportunity to kind of upskill your staff to grow their capabilities in advisory areas, right, is a lot of what
Absolutely.
firms are trying to focus on. And at the end of the day, that not only does that have benefits to the individual professional in terms of them growing professionally in their skill sets, it obviously improves retention, I think,
Yeah.
inside the firm, and don't overlook the impact it has on capacity as well, because
Mhm.
as you upskill staff, I think it creates more leverage, and can sometimes reduce those bottlenecks that happen when the partner is the only one that can come in and play that advisory role, right?
Right. And to that, Chad, one of my favorite silos essentially is communication.
Yeah.
And that definitely has applicability across so many parts of building culture, retaining talent, is just talk to people.
Yeah.
We talked about these surveys, getting feedback.
Yeah.
Um, hold your, once a month, all hands on deck. If you want to bring in pizza, whatever you want to do. And I think it just kind of speaks to, hey, we recognize, we as a firm, we as leadership recognize, we want to keep moving with this. We
Yep.
want to make sure you're up to speed on why the why of why we're doing some of these things.
Yep.
I certainly can count on many fingers and toes the number of times things have come to me where I'm like, what? Why are we doing this again?
Sure. Sure.
So communicating, I think what that will help with is there's a flavor of the month mentality,
Yeah.
not just with talent and culture, there with other things that we'll probably talk about too. So
Yeah.
it's showing to the client service base that this isn't the flavor of the month. This isn't where a managing partner went squirrel, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
what are we have considered this to be important enough that we're going to continue the march forward. We may take a step back,
Yeah.
but we'll take two steps forward next time.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right, and it's a great way to kind of close in on this particular episode. I think those high growth firms are the ones that have realized that culture is a key element of growth strategy, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's not just about retention anymore. It's directly tied to a firm's ability to grow and sustainable growth, right? I mean, so And I can remember not that long ago when culture was all about an employee engagement score, right?
Right.
And that's one, one small attribute of kind of, measuring the impactfulness, of a culture. But really what we're talking about here is putting firms in a position where they can retain the talent they have, expand the skill sets of their people, move upstream and begin to serve more and more sophisticated clients. Uh, is a byproduct of having a strong culture. You've got employees that are happy and satisfied. You've got
Mhm.
testimonials and stories to tell in the employer branding space. It's a win-win for everyone if you make culture a part of your growth strategy, right?
And I would also add, if you're looking at your Gen Z team, this is very important to
Mm,
them. And so when you're looking at the recruitment element of it, but again, it wraps up well with the retention side. Um, that's just a generation that we keep an eye on, and they just approach it differently. When I first got into my firm, there was baby boomers. There still are for sure.
yep.
I'm solidly Gen X, and it's been interesting to see that. I continue to lean on that word evolve, and it's the evolution of the workforce, and that is how your culture kind of wraps around it as well.
Yeah,
So
that
very
makes
important.
sense. Makes sense. All
Yeah.
right, well, let's wrap this up. I mean, my final note, or I guess thought on this would be to, I guess, hit the nail on the head again around this idea of, hey, you know, if a managing partner or growth leader is listening inside of a firm, take to heart what you've heard today. Also, don't feel like you've got to do it all yourself. I would say make sure you are leveraging, obviously, the expertise you have, hopefully, in your HR department,
Yeah.
your marketing department, across your leadership team. These all have to be aligned to drive, I think, the right kind of directives to create this environment. And so leverage all those talents. Marketing is certainly a valuable part of it. Don, any last thoughts from you?
I'm going to go back, and this is probably a thread that runs through a lot of the things that I will talk about, and it's the consistency of efforts.
Yeah,
Employees recognize the start stop, and to some extent, that happens. It happens outside of accounting firms as well, but
great.
just really trying to be. I like the word genuine.
Mm,
Where assume good intent
yeah,
is a phrase that I've used a lot, and just it's a positive mindset of walking in and understanding the culture and what the managing partners are trying to do. But then also conversely, Chad, and my final comment here is don't be afraid to give feedback.
mm,
If there's something that you're hearing where you're like, if we tweak this a little bit, ultimately each employee is responsible for the culture that they emanate as well
sure.
as what
Yeah,
surrounds them.
yeah,
So, be an active part of it, but the communication and the consistency is key, I feel.
great. Oh, fantastic. Don, thank you for your input today.
Yep, thanks for having me, Chad.
As Don and I talked, we've covered a lot of good topics today. Talent isn't just right about a hiring challenge anymore. It's really a leadership and growth challenge. And so, again, you can't recruit your way out of retention issues, but you can build a culture that keeps great people and attracts more of them. So, in our next episode, we'll tackle another top concern for firm leaders, and that's the impact of technology and automation today in the profession. Thanks for listening to Accounting for Growth, and you can connect with Don and I on LinkedIn, and we'll see you next time. That's a wrap on this episode of Accounting for Growth, powered by your CMO. We help accounting leaders break the status quo. Please subscribe, share, and stay sharp. Your next big growth move starts now.